Welcome to Say It With Guitars. I'm your host, Pete Cornelius. Each episode, I'll be digging deep and getting to hang with some of Australia's finest guitar pickers, songwriters, producers, collectors, and makers. I look forward to bringing you these fun conversations, and I hope you enjoy Say It With Guitars.
Ladies and gents, thank you so much for your patience. Welcome to season 3. Who'd have thought we'd have 3 seasons of conversations with these legends out there in Australian guitar. Makers, creators, collectors, you know the drill. Players, producers, all that stuff. You love it. We've sure got some great guests here for you this year. And to kick it off, we've got Stefan Hauk, all the way from Adelaide. I caught up with him in Launceston just prior to a gig we played together. He's currently on tour in Europe, I believe. So he's doing great guns, got some great recordings out. So if you get to see a live show, please do. Or check out his records. You know how to find him. The internet's a wonderful thing. All right, enjoy season 3, and thanks again for listening, folks. Appreciate it. Before we crack into today's show, I'd like to shout out to our Season 3 sponsors, Tarrant Guitars and Top Shelf Guitars. The custom workshop of award-winning luthier Billy Tarrant on the northwest coast of Tasmania uses locally and internationally sourced solid tone woods to create a wide range of custom guitars, including acoustic, electric, lap steel guitars and specialty instruments, showcasing his passion for superior tone and structural integrity. Tassie's one-stop custom workshop for custom-made guitars, all guitar repairs and services. Visit tarrantguitars.net.au. Top Shelf Instruments specialise in used and vintage guitars, pedals and amps, shipping worldwide from Hobart, Tasmania. They love helping players land exceptional instruments for manageable dollars, and guitars from Japan hold a special place in their hearts. New old guitars hit the website almost daily, so head on over to the website for this week's weird and wonderful offerings. topshelfinstruments.com.au. All right, on with the conversation. All right, I'd like to welcome to today's show on Say It With Guitars, Stefan Hauk. Stefan, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Pete. It's a pleasure.
Pleasure, man. And welcome to Tassie.
Yeah. Second day here in the Apple Isle, and it's such a beautiful spot.
First day of winter, and you wouldn't know it.
You knew it yesterday. You knew winter was coming yesterday. We had the full 37 km/h winds and all of that, but it was
brutal.
It was brutal, and it was a bit rough on the boat coming over, but
yeah. I was texting a mate yesterday on the boat who's actually he's a listener of the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Brad Von Rock, his name is. He performs on the boat, but he's an avid listener of the podcast. And I was texting him. He was after some, I don't know, it's like with gear. He was just sort of texting through, wanting another person's opinion about stuff. And he's going, it's going to be a rough crossing tonight. So, yeah, I think he, got sidetracked by looking at gear on his phone and didn't worry too much about the rough crossing.
It wasn't too bad. I made the mistake of, I thought I'd heard that it was going to be a bit rough. So I was like, all right, I'll get some of those seasick, some of those seasick pills, and I'll just take one just so to, be cautious.
Yeah.
It knocked me out. 8 p.m. I was asleep. So
that's
I missed a big chunk.
Well, there's nothing else to do on the boat. You just sit in that little
There is a gig
box
on there though, isn't there?
There's a gig, yeah.
I missed it.
Yeah.
But apparently I did hear there was a gig.
Yeah, it's up on deck 9 or 8 or something like that. It's on one of the top levels.
Have you been on the boat?
Oh, yeah. I've done many crossings on the boat. Yeah.
Cabin or the seat?
Look, it depends on how ambitious I am. I got a bit of a saggy mic stand, folks.
That's all right.
I try and get a cabin, but it's just the price of it. If I'm just on my own and the guys in the band are flying over, I'll take a seat.
Yeah.
And just wear one for the team. But if the guys are coming with me on the boat, we'll get a cabin and do it properly.
How much better is the cabin than the seat?
Oh, it's 100 times better.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the seat's narrow. You got like 100 people snoring, and not everyone sleeps. Like a lot of people just have their phones going, and you don't get any sleep. And especially if you've got a big drive. You know, you get into Geelong, and you got to spend like 6 or 8 hours on the road. You want a good night's sleep.
Yeah. No, because I got into the cabin and I'm like, these are pretty small and the beds are pretty rinky-dinky, but I thought if it's a quiet night and there's not many people on the boat, the seat might be okay.
Yeah.
But if it was super busy and you're just in there with a million other people, it'd be a bit weird.
Yeah, it's a bit weird. Yeah, anyway.
And someone told me, don't bother getting the expensive, like the deluxe cabin, because you just end up at the front of the boat, and if it's rough, it's horrible. Yeah,
I've had many trips on the Spirit, and you get a little porthole cabin at the front.
Yeah.
I used to have a mate who was a purser. Actually, he's still a purser on there. He's on ship 2, I think. And he used to do a few sneaky little upgrades. You know, you buy the cheapest fare possible, and you go, here's a new ticket. So you go and get the deluxe cabin.
Mm.
But yeah, it's pretty rough, very rough. And like the water would just cover the porthole. Like you hardly even get to look out of it because it's just covered in salt water. So yeah, great advantage.
It was a fun trip though, something different.
Cool. Now it's good to see you're on the road. So is this your first trip to Tassie?
Yes. Yeah, never been to Tassie before. So it's exciting because it's a place I've always wanted to go because I'm not really a big city kind of person. So I'm from Adelaide, and it's hard, you can't really call that a big city.
Yeah.
It's a small city. So coming to Hobart last night and then through to Lonnie today, it's just been so chilled and it's more my pace. So it's somewhere I've always wanted to come and check out. So.
Excellent. Yeah, it does feel like a similar city in terms of pace and even landscape.
Yeah.
I think. Like a lot of the hills around Adelaide.
Sure.
A lot of big grassland.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's a lot of wine around Tassie, a lot of wine around Adelaide. You know, I think it's probably a lot hotter in Adelaide, but the climate's probably not too dissimilar.
Our winters are still fairly cold, but nothing like here.
Yeah.
Nothing like here. But it's really nice. And, there's a lot of sheep here. I noticed that on the drive across.
Yeah.
I reckon you might be outnumbered by sheep.
Yeah. Especially those tasty ones that are on the coastline. You know, you're driving up and down the coast and you see these sheep farm grazing next to the salt water. It's like, I can't wait to...
They're seasoning out there.
Yeah, they're seasoning by the ocean. Yeah. So welcome to Tassie. Great to see you're down for some gigs because a lot of bands do bypass Tasmania. That bit of water is expensive, not only for transport, but just for getting gear or, you know, there's a lot of issues. So well done for coming down.
Yeah, I mean, Australia is logistically challenging at the best of times, even on the mainland. Yep. But at this point in, you know, the early stages of my career, I think it's just important for me, if there's an opportunity to go and play in a different place and it's viable, not to necessarily make money, but just to be able to do it and, you know, open myself up to another audience and all of that, it's worth doing. So
absolutely,
you know, it's a cool experience. And from what I've heard, the venues down here are really great and people really appreciate live music, probably because, like you said, a lot of people will bypass Tasmania because of the logistics. So I think the people that love live music here are probably extra appreciative of acts that make it down here.
Yeah, that's true. And because we are a bit starved in terms of talent that's not necessarily... We still got a lot of big bands. We still got your massive acts who pull, you know, 5,000 to 10,000 because I guess the level of... crowd pool they can sell tickets like that.
Yeah.
They come here quite regularly. But to have that independent artist who's, you know, breaking out or on the up or just wanting to spread their word or, you know, like trying to experience, like share what they've got to say or to learn more experiences. So that's the kind of act that we don't get much of. So that's cool.
Yeah, I think early on, like with touring in Australia and all of that, I think if your goal is to make money and be successful from the get-go, you're not going to do it. I think, you kind of just have to take that hit in order just to have the experience of doing it and then build from there and make it more and more viable as you go, you know. So it's, the hurdle of, it might cost some money, big deal, you know. If I wanted to make money, I'd be back in Adelaide playing solo gigs to the back of people's heads.
Yeah, absolutely. Playing cover bands, doing wedding shows.
Exactly.
And
stuff.
And you can still do that stuff. Like, I know that a lot of artists down here who are professional, you know, touring artists, they still have to earn crust during the week, you know. They're still trying to pay the bills, you know, like so touring, even at professional, like proper level, they're still finding it really hard to sell tickets. The price of flights, everything's just gone bananas.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, and as a muso, you know, you can still go and do those crappy little gigs.
Oh, for sure. And I still do. I just don't tell anyone.
Yeah.
They still exist and I still do them, but no one knows I'm there, you know. So I like to keep it that way nowadays.
And you still learn. Like from every show, there's something to be learnt.
Yeah.
Whether it's a positive or negative thing you've picked up, or just interacting with people. There are always things, I think, no matter what the gig is, there's going to be a learning experience.
I remember the last tour I did, the first tour I did last year, in September, I think it was. I got back to Adelaide and the next week I had a solo gig. Just in a front bar in McLaren Vale, actually. I get set up to do this gig. And I'd just come off of doing these great original shows, ticketed audiences, all this stuff. I get to this gig and this lady from the pub comes up, "Oh, do you mind announcing the meat tray raffle?" So, like, 1 minute I'm playing like a great gig in Melbourne, you know, to a ticketed audience, good crowd, all that. And then next minute I'm calling out the meat tray in a front bar, you know. It's good for you.
It's so good for you. I often think the same thing, you know. You have a great run of shows, you have some great festivals, sell some merch.
Yeah.
And this massive high, you know, your ego's like bulging. And then, you go home and you're changing dirty nappies and you're mowing the lawn, you're cutting wood, you're just doing like all this basic stuff. But I think it's so grounding.
Yeah. I mean, even McCartney lived out on a farm, you know.
Yeah.
Just to have a bit of realness.
I think it's so important because it is easy, hey, like it's a slippery slope once you get a bit of gratis and
it's easy to buy into the myth a little bit, and you go, oh wait, I'm still me, you know. You got to kind of make sure you keep yourself a little bit grounded. So those gigs are definitely character building in that regard.
Absolutely. And especially I think with the social media life that a lot of artists build themselves into, you know, they sort of surround themselves by looking ideal, you know, every scenario 100%. Looks amazing. It's like, well, where's the reality there?
Well, that's the thing. And unfortunately, I think it's part of the industry now to actually create that illusion of success in order for people to believe it. You know, it's not just about the merit of the music or the playing nowadays. It's about the perception of this successful journey that you're on.
Yeah.
Which I've learned is just a part of it, and you kind of have to do it that way nowadays.
Yeah.
And in reality, I probably wouldn't have social media if it wasn't for music.
Yeah.
I've got no real reason other than like using a messaging platform to keep in touch with friends and stuff that I wouldn't really use it, I don't think.
Yeah. And how do you go in terms of managing what you do? Like, are you like the graphics guy? Are you the sound guy at gigs? Are you the agent? Like what?
Pretty much everything.
Tell me about what happens with
everything except live sound. Because I can't do that while I'm playing.
Yeah.
But pretty much everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah. Video editor, sound engineer.
Yeah.
Graphics.
Yeah.
All of that stuff I do myself.
Yeah.
I don't do it all well, but I do it all myself. You know, it's been a constant learning curve, you know, over the last kind of 5 years especially, because I've kind of have made it my focus to be able to do a bit of everything.
Yeah.
Because I think nowadays with how expensive everything is in this industry, you know, and how little money there is to be made out there, it's really important for you to be able to have, you know, a good range of skills.
Yep.
And be able to do things yourself. And plus, moving forward, if I manage to make a decent, you know, go of this, I'll have so much more knowledge about what goes into, you know, all of the different sides of, you know, whether it be music production or video production or you know, graphics or any of that stuff. So booking gigs even, you know, knowing about, you know, splits and, you know, what works and what doesn't, and advertising to, you know, even like, creating ad campaigns for Facebook and all of that weird stuff you've got to do. You know, it's really odd for me. I'm a kind of introverted guy. Like, I'm not a super, you know, I'm not the social butterfly, life of the party kind of. I am within groups of people that I'm really familiar with, but my natural kind of vibe is pretty low key.
Yeah.
But to have to be so focused on self-promotion is quite unnatural, but you have to be the guy. Like, there's no one else. If you're an independent artist, self-managed, you know, no one else is actually going to do it for you. So you kind of have to be like a promoter who says, "Oh, you got to check this guy out." "Oh, really? Who is it?" Me. Yeah, check him out. He's great. You know, so yeah, it's kind of odd. A lot of unanswered emails and stuff like that you just got to push out into the world in order to, you know, try and book gigs to get, you know, spots on festivals, to, you know, all of the above. You just have to learn to be okay with pushing your own barrow a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely an awkward situation to be in. I'm very similar in that way. I'm quite an introverted guy, like, which is strange for making a podcast, like actually conversing with people. But I think, I think it's so vital as an artist to have control of every aspect of who people see you as. Like, I guess so many artists, if they get signed, they can probably lose control of their image or their sound or their audience.
I mean,
all
we've seen that, you know, with people that we know directly that have either been signed or involved with like talent shows or, you know, and they go down that path of where they do start to lose control of what, you know, they're about as an artist.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine anything worse.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a scary situation. But I guess it just really depends on what you're in it for. If you're in it for fame, maybe that's fine. Maybe that's the route they want to take.
Yeah.
But if you're in it to actually really get deep and, you know, let people know what you're on about, like the actual you know, what your message is, I think that's pretty important to have control.
Yeah, I mean, I'm an introvert, so I'm definitely not in it for fame.
Yeah.
That's a nightmare.
Yeah.
That's a nightmare. I'm selfish in the sense that I'm in it because I'm addicted to the feeling you get when you play music with other people.
Yeah.
and I like to, and because I also like to be in control of things, it happens that the music I'm making has to be my music because I want to play the stuff that I really enjoy playing. I want to be playing, blues and classic rock kind of and soulful stuff. I don't think my natural role is necessarily as a sideman because I kind of like to call the shots a little bit more than that.
Yep.
I can do it, but it's, for me, the ideal thing is, I just want to play some blues and some stuff I really enjoy doing. So that means I have to be the guy out the front who sings the songs and tries to write half decent songs. And that's a whole other thing, songwriting and
absolutely.
And the whole artistry involved with that. I always feel, I started writing songs when I was 11. I still feel like I'm a novice.
And I think in the blues genre, it's so easy to get trapped into the typical story that people associate blues with. And that might have worked when blues was someone's culture. Like that was part of their life. Everyone's got struggles. I'm not saying that everyone's living, amazing lives, but we haven't got the same story to tell.
No.
And I do struggle sometimes when I hear artists who play blues and they kind of fall down that rabbit hole or that safety net of just singing things that they can't really relate to.
Well, the way I look at it is, for me, the music I enjoy is all about authenticity and people being authentic to themselves and making music that is really from within and isn't too kind of, pulled from another source kind of thing. And I find that some music, especially blues music that gets released nowadays, can tend to be a little bit too influenced by the stuff that's happened before. And there's not a bunch of creativity involved. So I try to avoid, for one, I don't write 12 bars because they've all been written, I think.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to write a Texas Flood or a, Leave My Girl Alone or any of those, 3 o'clock blues or any of, I'm not going to write that.
Yeah.
I can't. That's been done. I'm not going to do it as good as that. So I try to write songs that I find interesting that have got, a bit of, more of a kind of not modern, but a modern approach in terms of having some hooks and having some, things that people can latch onto that I feel is more authentic to me. Yeah. There's some music that people make that's closer to being a Civil War reenactment than it is actually being creative. You're just reproducing something that's come before, which is fine. And if people are into that, great. Yep. And it's probably, ironic for me to say that because I am playing a genre that's predominantly from the past. Blues and rock aren't current music, nowadays, but I still feel like songwriting is still something that's always evolving and involves some creativity. So that's the part of I guess that's the now factor that I try to inject into the music I write when I get the chance. I take a lot of inspiration from artists like modern day artists, like guys like Chris Stapleton, who writes kind of soulful, country, bluesy kind of music. Yep. But the songs the songs are the factor that keeps people really hooked.
Yep. Actually, I was hearing Stapleton in Comes to Pass.
Oh, right. Yeah, definitely.
But mainly in your voice, to be honest.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I heard a few little things and I was like, oh, that's Stapleton.
It's probably, the little kind of half southerly pronunciation of words or something. I don't know, but
Hey there, my friend, what's the worry? You yet to hear that it won't be just fine. You control your situation. It ain't a sin for you to change your mind. When it all comes to pass, you won't have to move so fast. Just sit back and let
I love Chris. He's one of my favourites.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
And not one of my favourite artists, but I really respect what John Mayer's been able to do as well, in terms of bringing blues to now. Yep. And managing to find some kind of middle ground between respecting blues and its history, but also trying to be a little bit more creative on the songwriting front. So I really respect John Mayer for that. You know, so I look to guys like Stapleton and Mayer and Marcus King nowadays. You know, guys that are managing to somehow inject a bit of freshness into these genres that we all love. Like, I mean, most of the music I listen to is 40 plus years old. Yeah. But there is those, you know, there are those people around now that are managing to keep things fresh and bring just a new combination of influences together. You know, who knew that before Stapleton, who knew that like kind of almost traditional country rock music with a really great soulful bluesy singer on the, like, would be such an amazing combination, and something we hadn't really heard that much of, like not within country music necessarily, like infused that way.
Or popular country music.
No, I mean, a lot of the popular country music of the last kind of 30 years has been like the stadium country, kind of lowest common denominator, beer truck, kind of all that stuff. Yeah. So it's really refreshing to hear someone like Chris and Sturgill and all of these, like, so much cool stuff that's happening in the last 10 years. A lot of that
is to thank guys like Dave Cobb, who produced that stuff. Like, I think his approach, because he's a great guitar player himself, and he'd be a good one to have on the podcast. Oh, I love that. If you're listening, Dave Cobb. Just come down to Tasmania for a little, you know, get out of Nashville for a little while. But I think guys like that really open up artists and, sort of infuse different ideas and really let their internal beings shine.
I think he's one of those guys that really understands the importance of artists like Stapleton to the future of country music especially. And, I mean, Cobb even produces the Wheeler Walker Jr. stuff. Have you heard any of that?
I've heard a little of it, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty crass and it's pretty crass and pretty out there. But I think he produces that because he understands that, you know, something like Wheeler Walker is mainly there to take the mickey out of the cookie cutter country music that's been around for the last 20, 30 years. Right. So, if anyone wants a bit of a – if you've got a bit of a dark sense of humour and you want a bit of a laugh, check out Wheeler Walker Jr. Okay. So it's basically really crass comedy country, but with cracking Nashville bands on it, produced by Dave Cobb. Like, it sounds amazing. The playing's great, but the songs are pretty out there.
That's good. Pushing boundaries.
Yeah.
Let's talk about – I know how we briefly touched on earlier, doing a lot of things yourself, multitasking – creating content. I followed a bit of your Facebook and stuff during the COVID experience, and you were doing a lot of recordings, playing drums, bass, guitar, singing, and doing a lot of cover songs, stuff like that. So how does that? Is that just for a bit of fun, that kind of thing, or like just trying to learn new skills or expand your audience?
I was having some issues with writing at that point. But I knew I needed to do something. And I had been involved with a YouTube cover band based out of Adelaide, which ended up going viral, this band called the Hindley Street Country Club, which they're like touring the world now and doing all sorts of stuff as just a normal cover band. But for some reason, people liked it and tuned in a lot. So I'd done a bunch of that stuff pre-COVID. And then once COVID happened, I wasn't really involved with that stuff anymore. But I thought, I've got nothing to do. I've just set up my new studio. You know, I'm going to just work on my production chops a little bit and, you know, any excuse. You know what it's like as a guitar player who plays drums. Any excuse to get behind a drum kit. You're totally. Like, I'm in.
The best gig in the world.
So, it was probably really an excuse to play the drums more than anything else.
Yeah. Yeah. And like you said, work on production chops, because there are so many ways to mic a drum kit, to tune a drum kit, to sit on the beat, behind the beat. All that stuff is so – I don't know, like, do you get into that production stuff?
Yeah. Talk about feeling like a novice, you know. Production is like another whole, you know, lifetime of dedication to that particular skill to get anywhere with it. But I love it. I really like, yet again, I like to be in control of what I'm doing. So if I can understand what goes into making a great mix or a great feel or a great, you know, whatever, I'll do it. So, yeah, I love the production side of things, and I'll keep doing it as long as I can. It would be nice to work with other people.
Yeah.
Though.
Yeah.
It can be a very lonely task if you're playing everything, you're mixing it, you've got no kind of reference from any other influence, whether what you're doing is any good, you know?
Yeah.
You've been EQing a snare drum for 3 hours and you realise that it sounded better before you started messing with it, or, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've been down that rabbit hole, absolutely. So it's really good to have people you can trust. I think it was an interesting time because you couldn't really go anywhere. So I had a few mates I could sort of send tracks to and go, all right, what do you think? Honest opinion. I don't want you to listen to it more than twice. You know, I want your honest opinion. And it was great. You know, if you've got people you can trust and value their opinions.
Yeah, that's really important.
Such an important aspect, I reckon.
Definitely. Nah.
So how'd you go with your new album? Did you do that from home?
Pretty much, yeah. There's only 7 tracks on it, but they're all kind of 5+ minutes. So it ends up being about an album length. Yeah. But not as many songs. But there's a good, I think, 4 out of the 7, I think, are all me playing everything. Yep. Then there's one song where my mate Danny Leo from Adelaide plays drums. There's another song called Souls on Fire that's got a bunch of different people on it, that was actually recorded at a different studio. Yep. Bunch of Adelaide guys, Damien Steele-Scott, Logan Watt, Paul White, both on keyboards, and then Matt Birkin playing drums. Actually, no, it was not Damien Steele-Scott on bass. It was a guy called Miloš Pjosho on bass. And then the other track that has other people playing on it is Truth, which has Lockie Dolly on keys and Ian Pace on drums.
Amazing.
Which is wild. I don't know how I wrangled that.
Did you know the Dolly boys from Adelaide days? Like, have you met them previously?
No. I think Lockie moved to Adelaide when I was probably about 3 years old. Moved to Sydney when I was about 3 years old.
Oh, okay.
So, no, I actually know Lockie from, times he's come to Adelaide, and obviously he knows a lot of people from when he was here, so we kind of mix in those circles. So I kind of got to know him through people that knew him when he was in Adelaide. But I met him that way, and he's been great. Cool. He's such a great artist for one. Brilliant player, and
you can tell he's into that John Lord style of organ too. Pushing it through a Marshall, and
he loves getting wild. And I think the thing I like about Lockie is I think my approach and Lockie's approach to soloing is kind of similar. It's just take it to as many gears as you can possibly go. Yep. Because otherwise you won't be happy with yourself if you don't. Yeah. So, I love Lockie for that. And he's just such a good guy. He's super supportive. Every time I come and play in Sydney, he's there.
Cool.
He's just a sweetheart. And he's doing great stuff now. He's just gone over. He's playing South America. And doing his first US tour after that. And he's just killing it. And he deserves it because he works super hard.
He works super hard, totally.
Lugging a Hammond organ across the country.
Yeah, and a whammy clav.
Yeah, so he I don't think he does any fly dates in Australia pretty much.
Yep.
He drives everywhere.
Yep.
He's just a freak.
He's a machine. So how did you get to work with Ian Pace? Did you just message him somewhere?
It was COVID time. So, and I noticed that he'd started like a Q&A YouTube channel. So I was like, oh, look, and then I noticed he had a home studio. Yeah. I thought, I wonder, let's just see. So I asked it as a question on the YouTube channel, and he eventually got back to it in one of the videos. He's like, yeah, I'll do some sessions from home, but unlike this, it costs you money. Yeah. And I'm like, all right, fair enough.
Yeah.
And then I tried to contact him directly, but couldn't. So I got in touch with one of the stage managers or something from Deep Purple, who happens to be Don Airy's son, who plays keyboards in Deep Purple nowadays.
Right.
So, Don Airy's lad, I sent him a message on Instagram because we had some mutual connections and stuff. And I said, oh, do you reckon you could forward this track to Ian and see if he'd be interested in doing it? And he said, sure, yeah, send it. And I didn't hear anything for a few months. And I remember it was like a cold winter's night in Adelaide. And I was watching the showdown on the TV, Crows versus Port Adelaide. And I'm a massive Crows man. And we were going down to Port Adelaide pretty badly this night. So I wasn't really enjoying it very much. But I had my phone on the coffee table. I just saw it go zzz, and I saw Ian Pace came up like from email. I was like, no way. So I picked it up, and sure enough, he'd sent me an email. He's like, hey, Stefan, I like the track. I wouldn't mind having a crack at it. I thought, cool. Have a crack at it. You're Ian Pace. You'll be fine.
Yeah, you've got this.
I mean, it's a mid-tempo rock song. I'm not asking you to play Burn.
Yeah, no. Yeah, or Cherokee or something.
Yeah.
Amazing. So, right. So just back and forth, a few emails. Next minute you get a Dropbox with all his files.
All his files, and he's videoed it and edited all the videos together with like multicam of him playing. And
cool.
So, yeah, if you want to look it up, it's on YouTube. We videoed everything. Lockie videoed himself. And, it's super wild to not only hear him play on my song, but watch him record it. It's
Did he have much input in terms of arrangement or like?
He changed the feel quite a bit.
Okay.
So originally this song was really kind of straight 16-y, but he admits this in interviews, he's got a tendency to always swing just a bit.
Yeah. And
he swung quite a bit. So when I dropped his drum tracks in with my tracks, I'm like, this kind of sucks. Yeah. Why does it sound bad? And then I turned all of my stuff off and I listened to his drum track. I'm like, he's really swung this.
Yeah.
So once I replayed all of my parts to his drums, it was like, this is awesome.
Great.
So he definitely kind of injected his feel over the top of the track.
Yeah.
And then I replayed everything and it ended up working out really good. So I guess he did have an influence over the feel pretty majorly.
Yeah. Well, it's good though, because that's kind of what
I hired Ian Pace.
Those guys on the record for. That's right. You want Ian Pace?
If I wanted it to sound the way it sounds in my head, I'd play drums averagely on it and then edit it to make it sound like I'm a little bit better than I am.
Yeah.
A few mishits here and there, fix those up.
Yeah, sample that here. Yeah, just move it around.
But no, you get Ian Pace because you want Ian Pace to play on the track. 100%. So,
and I think I think if you are doing that overdub scenario of recording, I think everything has to play to the drums. Like even if you're playing to a click and you've already 100%. Put down some great drum loops or whatever, I think you have to go back and replace everything and play.
Pretty much what I always do. Yeah, the scratch tracks that are made to either a click or a shaker or whatever, they never end up on the recording ever, because once the drums are involved, it all changes.
Yeah, you almost get that human element again. It's like, oh, great, let's enhance the human. Yeah.
It sounds like something a robot would say.
It does. AI. I'm just AI. I'm not actually here.
Yeah. You're a virtual Pete.
Yeah. So look forward to playing tonight. It's a shame we can't do this interview tomorrow because it would have been great to break down the gig and go, I loved when you did this or when you did that, or
I hated it when you took took too many choruses on that slow blues, man. You were losing everyone.
That's right. People were getting drinks at the bar, I know that we did that with Ash Grunwald when he came down. I played with him a couple of days in a row, so it was nice. On the first night, got to hang out and we did the gig, and the next morning we got to do the podcast.
Right.
And it was cool. We both talked about each other's gig a bit, and it just felt like it was a real natural thing. But
yeah,
I guess tonight we've got that excitement.
It's cool though. Like, and it's nice to actually get to know someone you're playing alongside before you do the gig too, because quite often it's like which isn't a bad thing. You kind of learn a lot about someone by watching their set.
Yeah.
But it is kind of cool to have at least a bit of a rapport with you, and I look forward to watching you play because I haven't been able to yet.
Yeah.
Do you get over to Adelaide ever?
Look, it's been a long time since I've had children. My touring schedule has really, gone on the back seat.
Yeah,
so to speak. We used to play in Adelaide maybe like once or twice a year. We do shows around the city. Do shows at the Semaphore Workers Club a lot on their sort of Sunday nights, afternoons. A few shows like maybe the Weedy, a few shows down the coast as well. So definitely have done shows around Adelaide, but few and far between. And I guess it's like Tassie, right? Like it's a bit hard to get to in a way.
Yeah.
Like it's only 8-10 hours drive from Melbourne. Like it's not really that much of an excuse, but it's that extra little bit. And there's only so many Saturdays in a week, right?
Yeah.
So if you're playing a few shows around Melbourne, it's like, what am I going to do for 5 days or 4 days?
Yeah, and that seems to be a very Australia thing too. It's like people want weekend shows.
Yeah.
Like it's really hard to get people out on a Tuesday for whatever reason. Like, I mean, this country would be way easier to tour if you could play more weeknight shows.
Oh, imagine that.
It would be, you'd be able to do pretty solid runs.
Yeah.
Although there's a lot of driving in between.
Yeah.
But still, it's this tour that has taken me 3.5 weeks to get, back to Adelaide. It probably, if I was playing the same amount of shows in Europe, it would probably take a week and a half.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, we've definitely got different touring schedules here in terms of transport. But, it is what it is.
Yeah. It's the cards I'm dealt. I was born in Adelaide, so got to make the most of it. I mean, there's great advantages to being in Australia too. The industry is a little bit tougher here, but there's a lot of opportunities to play.
Yeah,
because there's not as many musicians in Australia.
Yeah,
if you're born in Nashville as a guitar player, it's like good luck.
Yeah, that's right.
Good luck getting a gig.
Good luck writing a song.
Yeah,
and getting a gig.
Here I stand, guitar in hand, I'm blinded by the sweat. I close my eyes and I think of you, but it all just leaves my head. I am free, I am thoughtless, floating above the ground. This is what my life is for, captivated town. I hear that roll, I crash back to the ground. I find myself back inside my head with the peace that I found. So much love to give, but I don't know how to share. It's all pent up inside me, then I'm flying and I am nowhere. My soul's on fire. My soul's on fire. My soul's on fire.
So it is funny, it's a double-edged sword, Australia. There are opportunities to get out there and play, but I feel like there's also like that, it's all part of that perception thing. It's like once you do well somewhere outside of Australia, then Australia really goes, oh yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah,
we love him.
Yeah, homegrown. Yeah,
you know, it's like it's interesting. Like once someone's validated by another culture or country or market, then Australia goes, oh, must be good.
Yeah,
you know. So ironically, you know, I'm going to play some shows in Italy at the end of this month.
Great,
which is wild. You know, I thought I'd love to. You know, I thought at the start of the year, you know, I'd love to do Europe, but it's probably a couple of years off. And then, you know, 2 months later, I get an email saying, do you want to come to Italy and play a couple of shows? And I'm like, yeah.
Great.
All right. So, you know, it's funny, you know, off the back of doing that, and then we're already talking about next year doing a proper run of festivals and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. But the irony is the more of that stuff I do, the easier it will be to tour here.
Yeah.
Because people go, oh, look, he's playing in Europe, so he must be all right.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's funny.
Yeah, but I guess that's just how the industry is, isn't it? Like, unfortunately, that's just like, you know, it's hard to appreciate what you've already got without really being validated from someone else. Like someone else actually really going, oh yeah, they're great. Oh yeah, they are great. Yeah, you're right.
It's interesting.
It's like a natural landscape. Like so much of Tasmania, so many Tasmanians have never been to. Yeah. Right? So many iconic parts of our island.
Yeah.
But oh yeah, that's just over there. You know, I could go there one day if I want.
It's from here though, so you know.
Yeah, it's like half.
I've seen here.
Yeah, I've seen here. I want to go to Bali instead. You know.
Hell yeah, I want to go drink beer around other Australians.
Yeah.
In a different place.
Yeah.
It's funny, isn't it?
Oh,
but
man.
it's, you know, that whole perception thing and success, and I feel like every town's got like a couple of like really special musicians that have never really left.
Yeah.
But like there's a guy in Adelaide, a guitar player, his name's Nick Panasakis.
Right.
Like he's just unreal. He's one of those guys, he hasn't got a lick of information about like theory or any of that stuff. Conceptually, he doesn't really know about music.
Right.
But just plays so soulfully, and he has stuff under his fingers, but he doesn't know what it is, doesn't know the scales, doesn't know what it's called.
Yep.
But he's unbelievable. You know, he's like, hard to describe. He's like Robin Ford, Larry Carlton, Stevie Ray, all kind of molded into like. Okay. He's just brilliant.
So you'd think he'd have some theory with all that kind of.
Well, he can play some of that stuff over changes, but like doesn't know what it is. Just knows it as a sound. You know.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's just unreal. And you go, how is this guy not?
Yeah.
You know, world known. You know, but super humble guy, doesn't really care about any of that. Just likes playing guitar.
Yep.
You know, he was in the same circles as Mossy when Mossy was in Adelaide. He used to pick Mossy up when he was walking home barefoot, you know, as Mossy tends to do back in the day, you know. Nick would pick up Mossy and, you know, they've just actually played together again for the first time in 50 years or something. They got together and had a jam on one of those YouTube-y video things.
Sure. Oh, that'd be worth looking at.
Yeah, so it's just crazy, you know. But every town's got at least one of those guys.
No, you're right. They do.
Where you go, this guy is as good as my heroes.
Yep.
But no one knows who they are outside of, you know, the musos in this city.
Yep.
You know, it's just a massive world. So imagine how many of those guys exist.
Oh, totally.
Guys and girls exist around the world, you know.
Yep.
It's just incredible.
It really shows that, doesn't it? Like how much self-drive and self-promotion and you know, belief, all that stuff needs to exist. You know, like if you're happy just playing along and you're not sort of, by playing along, I mean like just, you know, maybe on the weekends go down to your local RSL or your pub and play a gig.
Absolutely.
Play some great guitar, but you're not sort of like striving to be the next Bonamassa or something.
That's the thing. You know, and it comes back to that having to push your own barrow thing, that uncomfortable, you know, journey of having to be the one who jumpstarts the whole thing.
Yeah.
But I have to because I want to be doing this in 40 years' time.
That's right.
And I love guys like Nick Panasakis and guys you know, these brilliant players that aren't that known, but he's still a carpenter, you know, and I'm no good at that.
Yeah. It's right. Yeah, I can't do much else either.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm not really good at anything else, and I don't have any interest in doing anything else.
Yeah.
So whatever it takes, be it sacrificing. I'd love to be a dad someday. I'd love to have a family. I'd love to do all of that.
Yeah.
But if it came down to it, if I had the opportunity to do music, I'd take that first because that's what I really want to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, if I had the opportunity where I could do music and then was good enough, not good enough, but successful enough in doing that where I could have a family, then I would. But priority one is I feel like it's selfish to only have your eyes on your goal, but it's also even more selfish to like be so devoted to that thing and then also have a family that you're kind of not really looking after.
Yeah.
So I'd rather be a little bit less selfish and just go for what I'm going for. So, that's the sacrifices you make being a musician. You miss parties, you miss birthdays,
absolutely.
you miss all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
But, it's at the end, it's kind of worth it.
Yep.
Because
and that stuff still exists. Like if you've got a good friendship, that's gonna exist.
people
regardless.
understand.
People understand.
Yeah,
but you just get left off the invites and
yeah.
You're
It's all right. I wasn't going
sorry.
to come to that anyway. I had a gig on. It's fine.
Yeah. But who'd choose anything else? Like it's such a great
and that's the thing. The industry in some ways is the easiest it's ever been in terms of being able to release music to the world.
Yeah.
But in order to make a career out of it, it might be the hardest it's ever been.
Yeah.
But I'd still choose it.
Yeah. Totally.
I wouldn't do anything else.
And like you said, performing and interacting with musicians on stage, like that is the blood.
Yeah.
Like that's what you live for. And every night it's different. You go somewhere and it's exciting.
Yeah.
It's and then you get to do it again the next day and then you get to like do it in front of people.
It's the one habit I haven't dropped.
Yeah.
I pretty much got rid of everything at the end of last year. I don't drink anymore. I don't smoke. I've been a really good boy.
Right.
The only thing I haven't given up two things. That's the drug of playing music with people and Coke Zero. I still drink Coke Zero. I need to get rid of it, but I haven't managed to kick that yet. Might be harder than cigarettes, which is saying something. I don't know what's in that stuff, but
Yeah, right. No, it's dangerous, all that.
it's not good for you.
No, it's not good for you. Look at the colour of it.
Yeah.
Crikeys. Anyway, Stefan, thanks very much for hanging out with us on the couch. Look forward to the gig tonight.
Oh, it's going to be fun.
I hope the rest of the tour's amazing. And, good luck with the rest of the tour.
Thank you, man. It's been an absolute pleasure. I've really enjoyed this. We'll have to come back and do it again.
Yeah, let's do it.
I want to talk more about your stuff, though.
No. Leave that for someone else's podcast.
I'm not a very good interviewer, though.
Thanks, man.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks for listening, folks, to another episode of Say It With Guitars. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to the podcast, share it around to your mates, leave a good review, and hopefully we'll see you next time.